Developed countries can help to create a climate-smart world in two ways: by cutting their own carbon emissions and by increasing funding for developing countries. The report says it's important for rich countries to take the lead because they are responsible for about 50% of global emissions. Yet it says developing countries will bear most of the cost of damage from climate change.
Developing countries face 75 to 80% of the potential damage due to the global warming. And they are urgently need to prepare for the challenges in rising sea level, flood, and drought. And we need to help them to improve their agricultural productivities to cope the malnutrition problems and to build up weather resistance infrastructure.
Even a global 2 degrees Celsius warming could result in permanent reductions in annual per capita consumption of 4 to 5% for Africa and South Asia. In East Asia and the Pacific, a large number of people live along the coast and on low-lying islands, over 130 million people in China, and more than half the entire population in Vietnam, making them vulnerable to climate change. Meanwhile, aging and inadequate infrastructure and housing in Eastern Europe and Central Asia are ill-suited to withstand storms, heat waves, or floods. Water is a major issue in the Middle East and North Africa, the world's driest region. Here, the amount of water available per head is likely to be halved by 2050, even in the absence of climate change. And in Latin America and the Caribbean, critical ecosystems are under threat, with disappearing glaciers and bleached coral reefs, and large-scale dieback of the Amazon rainforest could have severe effects on the world's climate. To reduce the risk of dramatic climate change in the future, the world's energy system needs to be radically transformed.
Fortunately, there are new clean energy technologies that can greatly change the trajectory of greenhouse gases and protect us from catastrophic change. But we have to act together, act now, act differently, act as a planet, and it must occur in the next 10 years or we will not be able to avoid catastrophic climate change.
The good news is progress is being made.
Climate-smart growth and low-carbon growth is already underway. We have many countries that have come to us to say, give us a hand, both in terms of knowledge of what works and the financing.
An example is Turkey, who has a program to introduce renewables and new policies that will improve energy efficiency. The World Development Report also cautions that climate-smart policy cannot be framed as choosing between growth and climate change. A balance must be struck with policies that reduce vulnerability and finance the transition to low-carbon growth. Also critical is a change in behavior and public opinion.